Welcome to Creating the Ideal Organization, a podcast from the Organizational Dynamics community at the University of Pennsylvania, produced to inspire purposeful leadership practice and transform organizational experience. I'm your host, Steve Hart. Today I'm speaking with Dr. Charlene Russo, affiliate faculty of the Organizational Dynamics program and distinguished teacher from the School of Arts and Sciences. Charlene is a long-life learner, teacher, coach, and consultant who keeps her focus on the student, the client, the organization. She believes in fostering and sustaining trusted relationships with her colleagues, students, and clients as she partners with them to produce high-quality results and collaborative processes. She helps leaders build their coaching leadership competency and create strategic processes for individual and organizational growth and development. In addition to her teaching, Charlene has served in executive positions in pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies, including Allergan, Amgen, and the Schering Plough Research Institute, where she was responsible for the education, knowledge management, team effectiveness, and professional and organizational development for worldwide research and development of employees. Welcome, Charlene.
Thank you.
First, I want to congratulate you on your recognition for distinguished teaching in professional graduate programs from the School of Arts and Sciences for 2018. It's really well deserved. Tell me why you think you were nominated for this award.
It is quite an honor, and thank you, Steve. It's humbling. And I asked myself the same question. And after the award was announced, several students sent me letters that they had written in support. So I went back and I read those letters to remind myself. And what they talked about is how clear it is that I love what I do. And I see the life as a classroom, building relationships and connecting with other people. For me, I love being part of something that's magical. And I believe the teaching process is magical.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. And I've had the opportunity to work with you at Penn. And I know I continue to be inspired by your love of teaching and your enthusiasm for helping people succeed in their degree. But why is teaching on the Org Dynamics program so important for you? And what do you enjoy the most from the experience?
You know, I thought about this. Yates talks about education as not filling a pail, but lighting a fire. And so I think about the educational experience as creating a place like Org Dynamics does that's safe for learning, for experimenting, asking questions, and being a disruptor, maybe breaking some rules. But in order to break rules, you have to know what the rules are first, and which rules are breakable and which aren't. And so we try to do that in class. We look at that. I like to use the classroom as an opportunity for using my expertise and also to be an experimenter. And one of the things I thought about was how important it is to have fun. And learning is fun, and creating that fun experience.
I wonder if I should ask you this, but what rules have you broken?
Well, since I know that Alan might be listening at the end, I think I won't tell you.
Okay.
But I like to break the rules that are often preceded with "they don't do that." We don't know who the "they" is, and ask why.
Yeah, good. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So as a member of the faculty, how do you stay up with the developments and trends and changes in your field and insert what you learn into what you're teaching?
You know, my husband would tell you that I cannot sit and watch a movie without making connections to potential leadership applications, group dynamics, things that are going on in there, and bring those scenarios and quotes to the classroom. My students will tell you I'm always quoting some of my favorite movies that apply. My favorite movies, Chariots of Fire and Moonstruck. My sister and I do all the lines from Moonstruck. But I learn from my colleagues, students, friends, family, clients. They make me a better scholar and a better practitioner, and also a better human being.
And do you find when you bring the movies into the class, it's a way of engaging your students?
I used to, but sometimes I'm finding out now that some of the movie classics that I enjoy are from another generation.
A bit dated.
Yes. I also love to listen to podcasts. And the idea of doing this one is really exciting and getting ideas from that. So I would say you mentioned I'm a lifelong learner. I go into every situation, cruising old bookstores, libraries, see what the collections are. What are people reading? I love to read the reader comments on stories I read in the newspaper and see what's going on there. So I like to connect dots that people don't often think about.
I think you best exemplify one of my favorite sayings, which is teaching is learning twice.
Yes.
The idea that through the teaching you're also continually learning. So
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about the students here at the Organizational Dynamics program. You've been around here a while and you've done some great work with lots of our students. You truly engage with them. What kind of student do you think does well in the Organizational Dynamics program, and why?
Organizational dynamics students are the classic adult learner. And that is, they have a readiness to learn, they're motivated, they need to learn, they bring their experience, and sometimes a self-concept that they have to come past, maybe a prior learning experience that wasn't positive. And so they come into this learning experience. I have a student right now who is absolutely excelling in every course that he takes. His undergraduate experience was all based on test taking. He didn't do well. He was concerned about coming back to school and he thought he would give it a try. As you know, in Org Dynamics, we don't have tests. People write papers. We have discourse. We ask questions. And he just blossomed. So people come back, I think, they're self-directed learners. They come back for social relationships, new friends, new people to work with. They have some maybe external expectations. Someone suggested they get a degree to move forward. They might want to be a service to the community and learn what's going on. Personal advancement, changing perspectives sometimes. And they bring all of that. And some of them are there just for the sake of learning. I have a funny story about a student who, her first day in class, she decided to take a class because something wasn't working at work. So she came and took a class. And all the students were talking about how advanced they were in their program. And they were talking about what's next. And she said, "What do you mean what's next? You get this and you're done." Well, she's at the end point and she's asking, what's next?
Yes, so it's the starting place, not the end.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I love that. Do you have any critical expectations that you set upon the students, or because the program draws a certain type of student, do you find it just kind of shows up?
So I have a very detailed syllabus. I've had a few students tell me after they get to know me and all of the specificity that's in that syllabus, they tell me they learned early that no grandma died stories in this class. So I am pretty clear and specific about expectations, but I want to know theirs as well. And we do check-ins throughout the semester to see that. There is a discipline. One of the students talked about how I bring discipline with warmth and heart. And I think that's true.
That's great. My own reaction to that is, people make plans and God laughs. Because I like to take advantage of what shows up
Exactly.
in the classroom.
And there
It's
is a
not always to
magic.
a script, is it?
Isn't there a magic in the way groups are formed? I was talking to a potential new student for the cohort program, and she asked me about the group, and she said, "How do they come together?" And I said, "Magic." And there are the group gods that put these wonderful groups together that are magical.
So there's a certain transformation that takes place, though, right? So that the students enter the program, maybe them a bit mystified when they first come in. But we know that if their acceptance of that journey, they will transform and grow in particular ways. And I think the hallmark of a program like Organizational Dynamics is the way that it transforms theory into practice.
Absolutely.
What examples have you had from your experience teaching where transformations like that have taken place?
So we bring our expertise to the classroom. People have their expertise based on experience, on what they've been reading, what they've been studying, and then we experiment with it. We'll have, I love intentional design. seeing where the group is right now, and then planning for an experience that will build on that experience, and it all blows up. And then we step back and say, what happened? Why? Well, the theory says, yes, the theory is a guidance, but what did we just experience? So we have that active experimentation. I love to let students know that they can be very comfortable in their uncomfortableness of not knowing. One student told me that he loves the fact that I'm okay when I don't know the answer. I'm not really, but he said that. One of the people who signifies a lot of the way I think about this is Francesca Gino at Harvard, and she talks about being a rebel. And so we talk about understanding the rules. What does it mean to break rules, to be constructive, not destructive? And what does it mean to see things not necessarily outside the box, but what box?
One of the things that's a real hallmark of this program, and nobody can avoid it, is the capstone experience. And that's where I've had lots of opportunities to work with you in preparing and working with our students to do that. But what do you specifically do to help our participants prepare for that rigor and discipline of the capstone experience?
Many of the students will send me their list of questions, their research question, and say, this is what I want to do in my capstone. And I'll say, let's back this conversation up. Tell me about you. What's your best learning style? When do you work best? How do you work? What do you need to work? What do you expect from your capstone? Remember that your capstone is one of the only opportunities you will have to explore something of interest to you. And you will have other people joining you on what's interesting to you. And so we get all of that groundwork done on when do you work best. And they tell me that it's a very helpful conversation because they think they'll just sit down and start writing and doing things, and they realize that's not the way it's going to work. And then we talk about their research question. We talk about possible ways of approaching it. And then I network them with other students who have done capstones. Ask them to read other capstones and tell me what they learned. How were they written? Why did I ask you to read that capstone? And then all through the process, we have check-ins. What are you learning? What's working? What isn't? And I love to say, what if we were to look at it this way? And how about thinking about it this way? And then you watch them take off with their imagination and begin to shape and form something that's exciting. I also tell them that this is at least a 6-month marriage. It could be longer. You want to come home to a happy marriage.
That's point. I think that's really important to have that, because I think a lot of people are very anxious about the capstone, right? And I think a lot of them think it's about a business-related problem that they have to solve. In many ways, though, it's really about a deep exploration into oneself.
Exactly. And they have this image. I've used this image a lot with them. The capstone is not the big dog behind the door. Open the door and there's an adorable little puppy you're going to grow with.
Yeah. Especially if it's something that you truly care about.
Exactly. And I have worked recently with a student who thought he had his topic, thought it was interesting. He seemed bored to death. And we began talking about things that were interesting to him. And I watched his body language change, the way he spoke about it. And he said he felt the change. He felt transformed in the process about something that he was now excited to do.
Wonderful. Well, that's a great way to leave this podcast today. I want to thank you so much for a wonderful conversation, and it's easy to tell why you got that wonderful award for teaching. It's
thank
been
you
an
so
honor.
much, and thank you to everyone who supported me.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.